Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got that bitter ball. Yo, I ate it when I sat down in town. And that stuff, it went right down. But there was nothing else open. Oh, my. So they said, yo, head up to the Rembrandt's Blind. We're in Amsterdam, and we're going ham. Yo, RJ, tell me how you do it, who I am.
Yeah, man, I've been having nothing but fun days. Been here since last Monday or Sunday. One of those days. It's all right because I tried some herring. Yes, I was a little scared. It was pickled. It was interesting. With pickles and onions, my bowels are interesting. It was like, am I okay? But I was okay. Yeah, and I came to play. Raquel, tell me about your time right now going on. How you like it here in the Amsterdam?
Oh, yeah, I like Amsterdam, riding them bikes, and honestly, it's like a dream. Yeah, flying the kite. We flying so far away. It's like every day in a coffee shop, smoking that purple haze, and we chilling with the comedy. Got it going on. Boom, boom, coming down Chicago. Got it going on.
Boom, boom with Chicago, yo, they got it going on. Boom, boom with Chicago, and they got it going on. Hello, and welcome to the North Coast Podcast. I am Douglas.
I am RG.
I'm Raquel.
Dr. Brick on the beat.
Woo! And we're here in the sexy offices of Boomchicago in their new theater of 2 or 5 years. How long have you been here for?
Almost 10.
Almost 10? Oh.
Double that time.
Well, I'm a chump. Okay, well, we are so excited. We have Saskia Maas. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
All right, we've got Andrew Moskos. Perfect. And Stacey Smith.
Yeah.
Saskia and Andrew are two of the founders of Boomchicago, and Stacey Smith here is the artistic director of the Boomchicago Comedy Festival.
And also Rick Ross, apparently.
Yes. Yes. Stacey made an incredible move last night where she played DJ Khaled in the show.
Finally.
Yeah.
So I think the question on all of our minds is like, y'all have been going nonstop for 2 weeks. So how are you holding up? How do you feel?
Well, it's been incredible. It's super fun to have so many performers in our theater. We started the festival last year because we were a little sad that COVID made us close down for so long. So we thought like, hey, why don't we keep ourselves busy by organizing a festival? And it was a big success. We were actually the only festival that could be open at that time.
Oh, wow.
The rest of the festivals had been cancelled. And then it was such a big success that we got like, okay, well, this is now an annual tradition.
Right on.
Yeah. It's been amazing too. And one thing that I was just saying out in the lobby like an hour ago was it feels different because I've produced like a lot of improv festivals or sketch comedy festivals, but that had like one lane. So like the Chicago Musical Improv Festival. And this is improv and stand-up and sketch and burlesque and storytelling. So it's really nice to get everyone to like not only have community like from an improv community standpoint, but just that everyone, so you can network like and cross-pollinate, which to me has been amazing and exhausting in a really positive way. Yeah.
Me, it's the best. I get to put my name on a festival. I do very little for the festival. Show, introduce a show, and watch shows. So thumbs up.
Yeah, me too.
Also, Andrew rolled up to the podcast recording with a bottle of bubbly and was like, hey.
That's how we roll.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Tink, 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 tink. Prost.
That's the sound.
Prost.
Yes.
Yes.
We've been drinking very good here in Amsterdam. I really appreciate it.
So fun. Yeah, and you have such a good bar. It's like so well run. I really admire how I'm like, oh wow, I've never.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, the energy.
That's very good to hear. Yeah.
The energy in this place is really like magnetic and frenetic. You can feel it like when you go see shows. The audience is really amazing.
Yeah, it's really interesting too that you say that because I think like the English comedy speaking kind of community in the Netherlands is newer outside of Boom Chicago because Boom's been around for 29 years now. So we've been a staple, but the English comedy scene in general is really kind of picking up momentum in the last, I'd say 5 years. So it's still quite new for a lot of our audience members. So we're trying to like train them how to watch improv and how to watch English speaking comedy in general. So
you have to appreciate the differences, things that we take for granted. Like the Dutch term for what we do is stand-up comedy because in Dutch it came from
they have this thing called cabaret, like cabaret, which is like you go to school and you learn like the light arts, and it's very like sanctioned and normal and
the
like
light arts.
Like it's a a legitimate theatrical school, I guess, of theory, but it's kind of a little bit staid and boring as you might expect from like the way that it is done. And then this sort of side thing came out, which they call stand-up comedy, meaning not this sort of theater school based comedy. And stand-up comedy in Dutch includes all sorts of comedy, including what we do, which is funny because stand-up in English is not what improvisation is. So we spent the first sort of beginning trying to fight it and going like, it's not that. And then we're like, well, wait, it is that. And we should just accept what it is. But that kind of open-mindedness is what's different here in Holland than in America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I always have to explain that to Dutch people. Like, no, it's not stand-up. Compare it to soccer and tennis. Like, tennis is one person playing a game, and soccer is a whole team. And it doesn't matter playing together, and it doesn't matter who scores. And then they go, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can't believe you said soccer and not football. That's very surprising for her.
Those are all
Wow.
Yeah, for the American audience
She
that we have.
really internationally changed that. Very impressive.
That
'cause
is
she's a huge
impressive.
football fan.
Because if you
yeah.
would have said football, my first mock would have been like Cowboys. We're talking Cowboys. Yeah, and it's interesting. You say light arts. It sounds so like Star Warsy. Like
Yeah,
some
or
people just are light
Hogwarts.
arts. Yeah, Hogwarts. The dark arts and teaching.
That's what we are. We're in the dark
The
arts.
dark arts.
We're studying the dark arts. Dark arts. We're studying the dark arts. The dark arts. We're studying the dark arts. The dark arts. We're studying the dark arts. The dark arts.
Listen, it's coming through now like reminisce. It's like football, no, it's like tennis. It's dark, we've got a team and we improvise. It's not stand up, but you call it here surprise. Studying the dark arts, the dark arts. We're studying the dark arts, the dark arts.
So the light arts are scripted, you see, but then the dark arts are hilarious improv comedy, and you get up on the stage. We are all on the same page, and when the audience stands there clapping like it's all the rage. Studying the dark arts, dark arts. We're studying the dark arts, the dark arts.
Studying the dark arts is what one must do. Studying the arts will make your heart true. Light arts are stand-up. Dark arts are improv. You need to get a better job.
Studying the dark arts, the dark arts.
Yoda studying
In the dark arts, the dark arts of comedy. Yay.
That Yoda was spot on.
Wow, that reminds me of how with Actors Equity in the States, there's like this whole thing where it's like not legitimate if it doesn't have a script attached to it. So the whole light arts, dark arts thing makes me think of that. Has Boom Chicago ever done like a play or a full length musical like that, where it's like or is it usually improv, sketch, and stand up?
I don't know.
Yeah, usually improv, sketch, and stand-up. We would not be opposed to doing some interesting form. We've done some site-specific theater where you kind of walked around the city and like discovered it with like a plot that involved the city and not knowing like who's an actor and who's.
I love
Yeah,
that.
it was called Deep Undercover, and it was a lot of fun. You started at Central Station. We rented a room at Central Station, so he's got like the yarn up of the bad guys, the connections between the criminal mastermind and his people, and the people you're going to meet on in the show. At some point, you went to down to the red light district, and there's a woman in the window, and you're like, is that sex worker part of this show? And it's like, she's an actress, and she is, and so that was kind of exciting to have. That was the Mr. Big's girlfriend, and we went to Chinatown, and you ordered something, the King Special, and there's a little piece of paper and a dumpling that has a clue in it, and it was one of those places like they didn't speak Dutch or English. It was like a Chinese only place, and it was just a fun way to tell a story.
Wow.
I had no idea.
I would love to participate in something like
Yeah.
that.
At some point, you're looking for, are you Marika? And some lady's like, no, I'm just walking by. Okay, are you Marika? No. And then you look in the canal, Marika's a boat. You get on the boat, and then they got snacks and wine. The captain takes you to the next place, and it was a lot of fun.
Can we bring it back?
Yeah.
It was ahead of its time. We got great reviews, but it was a little bit too expensive for people, and it was a little bit ahead of its time. We were very proud of it, though.
Wow, immersive comedy sketch show sounds
Yeah.
like heaven to me.
Yeah,
Especially one that ends on a boat.
We should do something like that in New York, where they go to each spot and then they have to rap something or something like that to get the next clue. Interactive rap experience.
New ideas start here.
Yeah. I feel like this is gonna sound like I'm blowing smoke a little bit, but I feel like everything I've ever like wanted an improv theater to have, you guys have. Like I've just been kind of like hyper impressed. It's just so cool. Are you guys like? Do you have a vision that you're doggedly pursuing after all these years?
Well, the vision is really to bring talent to the Netherlands and continue to be creative on that level of always looking at innovative things to include in the show, looking at topics that are current. So. Our latest show is about the metaverse because we think that's a topic that is on people's minds, or people sometimes don't know anything about it, but then they still would like to see a show about it. So we always want to we don't want to do the same thing over and over. We just always want to look at like what's next and what's how can we bring innovation into the show, whether it's on a technical level or whether it's on a topic level or whether it's the format. So definitely.
Yep. I think that's really innovative because not only you're a comedy theater, you're a cultural institution, you're also an educational institution in that way too, exposing people that might not be able to travel outside of Amsterdam or the Netherlands to perspectives and comedy from other parts of the world. I think that's super important, and that inspires people to want to go out and do different things.
Oh, it's so nice. One of the benefits of being in our new theater of 10 years is that we have 3 theaters now. In the old place on the Leidseplein, it was one theater, and people would say, I've got this great idea to do this show. And we were like, sorry, we do our show 7 days a week. Like, there's no space for other shows. Yeah. And we didn't have the Academy then either, so we didn't have that community of creative people. But now we've got 3 spaces, so 350 in the big theater, 150 upstairs, and then 20 in the attic. So now the answer can be yes. Yeah. Well, let's try it. The answer is always yes. So let's try 2. And it's just nice to be able to say it, even if we might not see it ourselves, to give it a chance, and maybe something good comes out of it. And that's nice.
Yeah, and it's also really interesting because it's a theater, but it's also a venue because we're a unique venue, historic building. It used to be the Rosen Theater, which was a movie theater. I was like fact checking bosses would like to keep my job. 10 years we've been here, 10 years. But we do like quite a lot of corporate stuff, and we also rent our theater out to graduation shows and companies, and like a burlesque show comes in. We have salsa on Sundays, so it's also things that are just the arts that are not comedy related at all, just really trying to get everyone to come see art in general. And for me, my specific focus is community driven stuff where they do kind of higher level stuff, and I focus on the academy and how can I make sure that our programming is diverse and represents different voices, and to be accommodating of kind of what comes in, because our comedy community is so different than what I've taught in Chicago and New York and when I lived in Boston, because our students are international. They're not English speakers by their first language. English is maybe sometimes their third or fourth language. So for me, it's trying to make comedy universal. So trying to train our students to do comedy universally and train our actors to be a bit more universal and more relatable on like a more human level. So that's been a really interesting learning experience for me as an actor, as someone who came over as an actor and really kind of got to see how to grow after 15 years of doing it.
Y'all have been in this world and this industry for so long. I wonder if you could tell me, is there anything that you're still looking forward to seeing, like any type of comedy that you're like, I've never seen this and I really want to see it out there, or any type of like cultural experience that you're looking forward to view?
I'm real into this immersive theater, immersive experiences that are kind of coming around now. Like it started with like the traveling Van Gogh exhibits and beam stuff on the walls and mapping and things like that, and now there are more theatrical experiences as well. There's Secret Cinema in London where they take movies and they make like a world that movie is set in, and you can kind of experience it and then watch the movie. And Sleep No More, those guys just launched a new show in London called Burnt City, where you kind of explore and it happens around you, and it's different things. So what I'm personally excited about is applying that to comedy, to make a immersive comedy experience where it's not that you go and explore a place, because I like a linear story and I want it to end with applause and it concludes. So it's not like an escape room where like you don't make it and the guy comes back and like, yeah, sorry, gotta go back outside. He died.
It's over for you.
The president is dead.
So there's a project we're working on now that is moving forward. We're hopefully it's in Utrecht, a different city in Amsterdam. We're trying to make work like an interactive, immersive comedy experience.
Right on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's awesome.
And for me, one of the important things that I'm working on also on the side is, and not on the side, it's taking more and more of my time, and it gives me so much joy, is my nonprofit for teenagers with autism. So we have a theater school called Interacting, and we teach teenagers age of 12 to 22 improv so that they become more confident. They're often stuck in their rituals and routines, and we teach them that not knowing what's going to happen is actually not so scary. We just recently finished like 14 weeks course, and the group then performs in a show on our stage, and it's just like they all are so eager to play, and it's just and they really grow. I mean, I was talking to one of the moms saying like, oh gosh, her daughter started a year ago and she's already so much more confident. And it also, sort of plants the seed that they can actually also have a space in the theater, because you don't see people with autism much in the media landscape, and that's also something that I want to change. Like I don't want them when they play that they play an autist, but I just want them to also have roles in plays that are like store owners or like it's like so I'm really like working hard to make that happen.
Yeah. And we did that a little bit with the festival last year. We had mainstream on one of our main stages, an autistic comedian, Fabian Franciscus. And this year, Fern Brady, who actually canceled and couldn't come last minute because of COVID. But she also just found out during COVID that she was autistic. So that's a very big mission-driven thing for us here at Boomchicago.
It's funny watching these. When we first started the program, I kind of mentally was like guessing what would happen. I kind of thought it might be like daycare plus, and it really turned into improv minus. And I mean that as a compliment. But when I watch the show that they do, I kind of start looking at it through a director's eyes a little bit. And if you think about improvisers, we're always supposed to jump in when the scene needs it. Like if it's sort of a option game, freeze, boom. When the beat is done, you jump in. Mm-hmm. We teach it, we know it, we say it, and yet sometimes we wait because we want to have that moment where we're kind of that better moment, or someone else can jump in and take this. These kids jump in always at the right time, even when they have nothing. And I'm like, look at this. Wow. Here I am going, I wish I could be that fearless, but that's the benefit of the autistic brain is like rules, jump in, and there's no shame or guilt or worrying about not being attractive or funny at that second that all of us have in various degrees at sort of various moments. So I learned something from the autistic kids also.
That's amazing. I think you guys are bringing visibility to something that's like not really in the mainstream at all, and also just so freeing, and like really does create a new community for you here in Amsterdam. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pushing boundaries and giving back. Pushing boundaries and giving back. Pushing boundaries and giving back. How about that? How about that? Okay, for 20 plus years, they've been doing shows, but now in the future, they're giving back to those who need it. It is not splurging. No, they're helping some neurodivergent folks when they're doing the impulses with the shows, and it's gonna be so great. I love these things. Yo, everybody hug and laugh and cry and sing. Boundaries and giving back. They're pushing boundaries and giving back. They're pushing boundaries and giving back. How about that?
How about that? Hey, you know, these kind of things, yeah, they can be tough, but if you lean in, then you know you're enough. Neurodivergent don't really matter if you lean into your powers. You know you are the best, and if you just listen to the rest, no doubts. Coming in, yes, we got the love, scream and shout, yes, boom, Chicago. You know how I go. They pushing boundaries, giving back with mad flow,
Pushing boundaries and giving back. And pushing boundaries and giving back. Pushing boundaries and giving back. Pushing boundaries and giving back.
Pushing all the boundaries every single day. Hey, eating all the chips like they were Frito-Lays. Hey, pushing out the boundaries, ain't got no limits. What? Doing all the shit, yeah, you know they be giving.
Pushing all the boundaries with all the children. And children going out on stage, yeah, they're willing to step up to the plate. And you know they do it with love and no hate. Pushing boundaries and giving back. Pushing boundaries and giving back. They're pushing boundaries and giving back. Yeah. How about that? How about that?
That.
Go ahead.
Okay, yes. I was gonna say take me back in time a little bit, because I know our listeners would love to hear just about the beginnings. And was it clear that you were like, this is gonna be as successful as it is, or what were like moments of doubt? I think that's something people be interested in.
It's I thought it would be successful from the beginning. Like I thought that there would be that Amsterdam was a good place for it. We were thinking about going to London too, but we thought it might be better to be bigger fish in a smaller pond, and we might just get eaten in London. And there's so much theater, and in English being the first language, and then being a theater city, a theater country even. But here we thought there were three groups of people that would go to see it. There were Dutch people are curious by nature. They're outwardly focused and travelers, and was no gut level anti-Americanism. A lot of visitors, tourists come to the city for days or weeks, and then a lot of expats and international community is based here. We thought all three of those people would come, and then they did. I mean, like what I couldn't imagine was being middle aged. That part seemed impossible.
That's never happening.
Yeah. Yeah, there it happens. 30 years, that was harder to think.
No, but it did grow sort of organically, because in the first 3 years we were in a theater that wasn't open all year, that we couldn't use all year round. The theaters in the summer would close, and then we would go into that space and then do our show. And then when the regular theater season started, we had to stop. So then Andrew and Pep would go back to Chicago, and I would stay here and kind of like did my own thing, and then I would start up again in the next year. But at some point people started to call in October, hey, we want to come see the show, and we go like, well, we don't have a show, you have to wait till April next year. And so that became kind of difficult. And then at some point in the space where we were serving Grolsch beer, but we had introduced pitchers to Amsterdam because Dutch people did not know the concept of a pitcher, and so we were. Yeah. So.
What is this? we had a discussion. We had a discussion with beer people. We're saying, like, this is a pitcher. It's a plastic 1.8 liter container. You take it, you pour it, your friends, you're the bartender. It's social, you'll love it. And this sort of Dutch brewmaster guy, he's got like a mustache that kind of curled a little bit around the ends, like that guy. He's been in the beer business forever. He goes, that is not how you should drink beer. Beer is to be short little glasses with 2 fingers of foam. 0.23 liters is the perfect thing. Less than a can sized, and it was cold, and it comes from the bar every time, and that's what it was. Of course, now they realize that if you can sell 1.8 liters at one time, you sell it. That's the beer business.
Yeah.
But the story was, of course, that Heineken started to notice our venue and started to go like, there's a lot of beer being sold there. So they came up to us and said, don't you want to switch from Grolsch beer to Heineken? And I said, sure, but only if you can find us a venue where we can perform all year round. And around the corner was a Heineken-owned building that used to be a movie theater, and after that was turned into a theater, and then was turned into a disco. And the disco had gone bankrupt, and it still had like ugly, like American stuff in it, like the cash disco, and it had like a Statue of Liberty, and it had like a empty tank.
Oh my God! It had like a $1,000 bill mural on the wall. It was like Scarface gauche celebration of money in the '80s, kind of a thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was too expensive for us, and other places started to look at it too. Like TGI Fridays was thinking of moving to Amsterdam, and Planet Hollywood, and all those. But we said but we have a proven concept, and we will still be around in so many years, and those concepts will likely not make it either. So then Heineken helped us to get a loan and all that, and then we became a theater that was open 365 days a year, and that's when we really lifted to the level where we are now.
So you rolled up to the bank with someone from Heineken?
Yes.
You were like, hey, they're vouching for me.
Yes, that's how it went.
That's amazing.
That's the only way they would give 24-year-olds a loan back then, So
we were 24.
Well, we know. So 23 we started. This is not a couple years later, so we're 27 now. Yeah.
Still incredible.
Yeah. So Planet Hollywood incidentally did come to Amsterdam at a different place a couple years later. Then they closed 3 years later, and I called up the guy and I said, "You know why I'm calling?" He goes, "Yeah, because Planet Hollywood closed, and you did last longer."
Welcome to the cash disco. 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 Here in Amsterdam, you know you want your thrills. We'll put on some fucking roller skates. Here's $1,000 bill. You know you're in America, but America is so shitty. Well, on this wall, it's the Statue of Liberty. Welcome to the cash disco. Welcome to the cash disco. Welcome to the cash disco.
At the disco, you can get pretty naughty. It's alright, look around, all of our decorations are gaudy. Yes, you see everything, are you impressed by it? If you are not, well, guess what? You're American shit.
Welcome to the cash disco. Welcome to the cash disco. Welcome to the cash disco.
Yes, of course. If you love it, then have more than a skosh. Everything is gaudy, yes,
everything is
gosh. And of course, we are rich, getting down in the club, cause we're fancy American bees.
Excuse me, I'm
Yes.
from Applebee's in the USA. I am John G. Appleby. Do you believe me?
No,
I
no.
am not from Utrecht. I am John Appleby. So can I have a loan, or can I have this space for free?
Absolutely not, unless you are kin to that amazing beer, Heineken. I need confidentials and confidence. Sorry, don't think you've got it to pay that rent.
Welcome to the welcome to the welcome to the
Cash disco.
That was a good one.
Oh my god. Yeah, it had
Cash disco.
I heard disco. We're partying.
So, Stacey, what's the most Dutch thing that's happened to you since you moved here to work with Boom Chicago?
Oh, Dutch people. Not in a bad way. I think you hear when you first move here, they tell you the concept of Dutch directness, of that Dutch people are very direct. But I'm from New York. Right. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same. So it was not I would say the biggest thing between Dutch people and American people is the way that Dutch people give feedback. It's different. Okay. It's just a learning curve. That's
if you
all.
could just explain just a tiny bit more. I'm
Yeah.
curious. That
more
piqued my curiosity.
I mean, the Dutch feedback is more direct. So when someone, for example, someone will come up to me and they'll say, instead of saying, "I love your outfit," they'll say, "Oh, I liked your outfit better yesterday."
So like a mom or like a family member.
It's like a mom. It's like always having an aunt around. Always.
Dutch person might buy you a drink after the show. Okay, thanks. So, I did not like your show.
But it's funny because especially after shows, Americans will be like, "That was amazing. That was life-changing. Oh my God, it's fucking awesome." And Dutch people say, "Thank you. You've changed my life." And then they just walk away into smoke. They just disappear. And also Americans watch it and like scream and hoot and holler, and Dutch people folded arms, very serious.
Tell me why I should make some noise.
Yeah, they want you to prove it to them, but it's kind of a nice challenge. Like it's almost just like, all right, buckle up, let's go. So that has been, I think, the biggest interesting learning curve for me. Also, the language is super, super difficult. I am on Duolingo finally after 2.5 years, and the first thing that I learned on Duolingo was how to say I am an apple, and I was like, not I am a woman. Not I am Stacey, it's ich bin an apple. You know? So I've had an interesting journey learning the language. But we do like a Dutch lesson when we first move here as actors. Andrew takes us through kind of how to pronounce all of the cities in the Netherlands, how to read street signs so that you know if there's any emergencies or what areas you could go in and not go in. Some popular phrases, some dirty words, you know, just kind of the lay of the land. And that's super, super helpful because sometimes I'd go on stage, admittedly, like the whole first 6 months I was here, and I would say a word and I'd be like, oh, they have no idea what that word is. They don't know what a fucking Walgreens is. Yeah. So I have to like contextualize everything that I do on stage, which has been, really, really fun to do. I'll be like, Walgreens. Oh, like a Hema. You know, so I'll have to compare it to something that they know. So now it's fun because the cast can do scenes not in the Dutch language, but we know so much about Dutch culture now that we're able to appeal to kind of a full audience.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You know, I think that might be part of the secret sauce of Boom Chicago is a lot of people, when they come here, they find themselves not as funny as they were when they were the place they left.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's something about because, you know, you're the king of your improv theater where you came from, and you perform for improv fans, and they might like you, and they like the form of improv, and it's a bit of a positive sort of circle, like a virtuous circle of sorts. But when you come here, you kind of have to break it all down and go like, well, okay, what are the international things? What are the universal things? Okay, you know, work, relationship, family, you know, the big movies that we all see. But by breaking that down and performing for people who don't love you already, that actually is a really good skill for your next job. Because if you think of like writing for TV, that's the same thing. It's making people who don't know you laugh. Yeah. Right. So the Amsterdam experience, although sometimes it can be more silent and the audiences can be harder, is actually better for you. Yeah. Yeah.
It's important to learn that lesson, and it might be hard to see that especially when you're on stage, or like to realize that when you're on stage. It's definitely like after you've been off a stage for a few days that you realize like, oh, okay, well, instead of being like, oh man, I did like really bad, they didn't respond, but having that reflection time and you kind of get that makes a lot better. I find that I laugh really loudly and at everything all the time. And so I've been in some shows, maybe sitting next to some Dutch folks, and I'll be like, ah! And I would laugh like my normal laugh, like I would and stuff, and the person next to me would just like that, and I'm like, oh, am I being like a loud American right now? Like I don't know what's going on. So I felt that. I've felt that so far.
Hey, I got to give you guys props for the way that you start your show too,
oh, cool.
Which is it's so, because I'm thinking like, oh, you know, the interview. So we all learn, you know, so you get someone from the audience, you know, do the show about someone. I'm like, what if you don't know something about him, or what if a Dutch person, you know, shouts out some person here that you know nothing about? But like, get out your phones, tell me about that. Each person asking a question about their youth or you know their other things that they're interested in. It was just so nice because then we all, it doesn't matter who the show is about, we and you are all learning about it, and these are the things that the show is going to be about, and that's just a great way to connect with an audience. So that's a fantastic element, and maybe an underappreciated element of why your show works so well.
Oh, yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah. I think it's cool because then the audience then feels seen, and then when we pull it up in the show, we get to have fun and then like tether it out, and it's built-in callbacks, and it's
and whatever
fun.
you know then can add to it here. But like, I mean, I don't know who Willem van Oranje is. Okay, well now I do, because you guys we all learned about it together.
I think what we do in the forum is, and what you guys do so brilliantly here too, is just humanizing it, boiling it down, and making the story relatable so everyone can connect on it, and then trying to find the laughs in those relationships and in those dynamics.
Yeah,
so.
for sure.
You say that immersive theater is keeping you interested and alive. You're talking about your nonprofit. Stacey, what does the future hold under your artistic direction here at Boom Chicago? You can bullshit
No
if you
pressure.
need to.
So it's interesting. I've had such an interesting journey at Boom because I got hired as an actor, and then I joked in an interview last week that was in a Dutch newspaper, which is a surreal thing to open a huge popular Dutch newspaper and
Two-page spread.
and to see your face and not know what any of it says. It's very
Because
funny.
a horrible person.
We
So bad.
burn the witch. But it's been interesting because when I came here, I came with experience, and I'm like always a fan of improvisers that come with experience and don't have ego. And I've really tried to kind of do that for over a decade. And that's kind of what I look in the two actors that I just hired. They're just good people that are nice. And because when you think about working here, we have to be able to do long form, short form, musical improv, hosting, corporate workshops, be able to teach. It's a lot. And maybe you don't have experience in one of those windows and you learn on the job, but we kind of look for someone that fills more facets than not. And when Boom has auditioned in the past, maybe you would see someone that's funny for 10 minutes and then they'd have to move to a different country. And you don't know how they react in a different setting or in a different country. And then they're here for a year. So for me, it's been really interesting to kind of just go back to the basics of the nitty gritty of like what makes a really good show and how can we connect with the audience. And I've been programming shows that have more Dutch focused guests, like the Music Improv Spectacular that we've been doing a lot in the festival. We do it as a Wednesday show with all Dutch guests, and they tell us about Dutch culture and stuff. So it's been a really nice way for the cast to learn the culture on the fly, experiencing it. So that's been really nice. And not even a year after I got here, I just said, I think we had a curriculum that we were partnered with the Free Association in London. Amazing, incredible people, and a great curriculum that didn't quite match what we were doing at Boom Chicago. We were teaching the Heralds, which I eat, sleep, and breathe Herald. I'm from IO, but we don't do it here. So we were teaching a lot of things that we weren't representing on our stage. So we very peacefully broke ties with them. I wrote a brand new curriculum that is 3 levels of kind of an intro, then a short form track and a long form track, because I am the biggest short form fan in the entire world, and I will go to my grave fighting for short form because I'm from Chicago. It's a long form city, and I was always fighting for short form because any paid job as a comedian, as an improviser, you do short form. So I've been a really big advocate for that. So now we teach hosting and actually teach our students how to host and how to present.
Stand-up, American definition.
And stand-up.
American
And stand-up and musical improv. So now we have kind of a more fully formed curriculum and vision. So our community is growing very quickly because of that, because they actually get to have the lecture part in class and the lab of experiencing what they're learning, actually getting to see it on stage. Because before they were taking classes and then our shows were not what they were learning. So
It's not 50% bigger thanks to your
Yeah.
curriculum and community building.
so now it's nice, and now we have designated Sunday nights after one of our long form shows of every single week is a different academy focused and community focused show. So every Sunday at 8:30 all the students come here and we jam, or we do an open mic, or we do musical improv jam or whatever. So yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm the community girl.
Then community
You guys
organizer.
do an amazing work to like help people see themselves too, because then they can look at that and go, oh, I want to do that, or like that's the goal, that's what I'm striving for. So that's so dope.
So super
Is
nice.
our community different from like Chicago, New York communities in terms of what their day jobs and their aspirations are?
I don't know, because now I'm out of it a bit, but like in Chicago, at least my perspective in Chicago was it was a lot of people that wanted to do comedy and pursue comedy. So most of the people that I was in classes with, it depended on like what kind of training center I was in. Like Second City was more like walks of life of like Chicago suburb people that just wanted to do it to get out of their comfort zone. And more at IO, it was like, I want to make a Herald team. So it was kind of different everywhere. But here, yeah, no one really wants to pursue comedy. They all just are hobbyists, and they're all expats looking for connection of English-speaking communities to get better at English, to find friends. Yeah. So it is much different. It makes for really kind of a bit more peaceful comedy. Yeah,
there's probably less drama too of slots of who's whether you're on or
yeah,
not.
because we have house teams is our only like kind of opportunity for our students to be on stage like regularly, and we re-audition every 6 months so that people can prioritize different things in their lives, and also they are super aware that they're going to go back into a pool and that there's no guarantee, so that they work hard and they learn to be on time and they don't have ego and stuff like that. So it's a nice
good Stacey Smith planning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about how it's improv is an important vehicle for like making friends, especially for expats and things like that. I wonder, like, in your transition and in your transition back when you were about 24, around that age, like moving from the United States to here, how did you go about feeling like you belonged in this community where you might not know anyone or not used to any of the traditions that goes on here?
Yeah, for me, I feel like it might sound sad, but like all of my friends have always just been comedians. So like now that I'm like dating, I'm like meeting people in finance, and I'm like, what? You don't do comedy? You're a muggle? What is this? Like, oh my god, I've been living in this wizard world, and I find it fascinating. So our students here are our friends, so that's a bit different than maybe how it was. The boundaries are a little bit different, but like in a positive way, because like I know that sometimes there were certain rules at institutions of like what that's like, and there's kind of not that, but in a safe way. So like we make sure that even though we're all friends, it is, there's no like teacher student like status dynamic that is uncomfortable, because we don't give them opportunity. Like we're not asking them to be a part of the main stage or anything. So everything is quite clear and spelled out in our programming and in our institution and stuff like that. So all of my friends are our students and our community members here. So all of my friends are from all around the world, and I don't really know anyone else except for like my barista and like the scanner at Albert Heijn, but that's essentially it.
That's fine.
But and your parents.
I think it's so much easier to come to Amsterdam now. Back in the 90s, 93 when we started, Amsterdam, and it was just things were less global. It's before cell phones, before daily internet, and it was books and paper and newspapers and magazines, and there was much less English being spoken. For instance, like the government would not communicate to you in English; you had to do everything in Dutch. So yeah. Oh, what?
Yeah. That's why I was essential at the start of Boomchicago, because they couldn't do anything, and I had not studied for this. I have a master's in linguistics, so something completely different.
New things.
But it was just a matter of picking up the phone. But you could not even get a phone connection if you didn't speak Dutch. Like it really, and it was also funny that you always had. You also always with Dutch people, less now, but back then you always had to know the answer before you asked a question, because they would just say that's not possible all the time. And it wasn't that it wasn't possible. It was often also like, I don't feel like doing it. So, they would just not help you, because they were just kind of like, ugh, I'm having lunch right now. I don't want to deal with this person having this question. So you always had to like search, like, oh, is this possible or not? And then ask a question. And then when they say no, you go like, yeah, but I read this and this. And then you go like, oh, okay. Well, in that case, so it was very fun time. But Dutch was absolutely essential. Yeah.
But also socially too. Like so back before the internet, we had our friends send over Simpsons tapes. It was the 90s, and then we would watch them on a VHS. And and there was a different system. We've different VHS technology. It's PAL versus NTHC, and we had to get them converted, these videotapes. So we get like Larry Sanders Show, I remember as well, was brought over at Simpsons episodes. These were our like lifeline as young comedians from the 90s. And so where do you get your videotapes transferred to the Dutch system? we went to the red light district. We went to a guy, Charlie Porno. He's kind of famous. Turns out
Charlie Porno.
They call him Fat Charlie, but we named him. We named him
Both
Charlie
names
Porno.
are epic.
Yeah.
Later, we read about him in the paper, and it was like, and Fat Charles of the red light district owns some places, and we're like, hey, it's Charlie Porno. So we go to this guy's office. I think you might have a song here. I go to his office, and it is stacked up of porno tapes, like a labyrinth of sorts. And there's this guy, Charlie Porno, sitting at the end. We would give him our Simpsons tape and pay him, and he would transfer them to Dutch tapes. And we were the only non-porno tapes that ever saw Charlie Porno's office.
Did he ever ask what these were, or he just was like?
He's like, yeah, sure, Simpsons. I don't ask. I got you.
Fat Charlie, Fat Charlie, coming in straight clutch. Fat Charlie,
Fat Charlie, Fat Charlie,
he's coming in straight clutch. Fat Charlie. Okay, coming in. Yes. What do you want me to convert your VHS? I'll take it. The Simpsons. Oh sure. I'm sure that it's very pure, so pure.
Charlie, Fat Charlie.
Oh, he's coming in clutch.
Fat Charlie, Fat Charlie, Fat Charlie. Oh, he's coming in clutch. Fat Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie. Oh, my
Coming in
bad.
large.
Whoa.
Honestly, I'm just trying to see Marge. Not her titties. It's legit, but I'm trying to watch Bart. Non-pornographic. I just want to know what Matt Groening's got going on.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm trying to watch The Simpsons all night long.
Mm-hmm.
You gave me a video XXX, and honestly, I just want to see Homer no sex. Fat Charlie. A Fat Charlie.
Yo, he's coming in clutch.
Fat Charlie, Fat Charlie.
Charlie Porno.
Fat Charlie.
Charlie Porno. Yeah, he's coming in clutch. Fat Charlie.
Charlie eating pizza. Yeah, it's DiGiorno. Charlie's nickname is Charlie Porno. Yeah, dude, look, and he's like the Simpsons. Over here, he's also happens to be a Simpson. Charlie Porno over here looking good. Yes, no corno. Charlie Porno's gonna turn your VHS into the best, and he's gonna come on your chest.
Fat Charlie, he's coming.
Fat Charlie, Fat Charlie, Fat Charlie.
You about to have an orgasm and curb your enthusiasm. Oh my goodness! Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank
We're
you.
so grateful for you. So yep, one day left of the Boom Chicago Comedy Festival. So are you going to be doing it next year?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're already in planning. We already have dates. We'll announce them shortly, and it's going to be a big year because it's going to be our 30th anniversary.
Oh wow!
And 10 years on the Rosengracht. So it is going to be epic.
Epic! Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for listening to the North Coast Podcast. You can follow us at North Coast NYC on all social media. Thanks for listening.